we're part of Adelante Hispanic Acheivers, which is a nonprofit organization here that focuses on helping Latino students like reach their college ambitions and like just push them forward to feel comfortable doing whatever they so desire. And
okay, so I'm an ambassador for Adelante. My name is Lorena.
I'm also an ambassador. My name is Taurino.
I'm Andrea. And so, how did you guys feel about
It was definitely like a kind of a switch because of like obviously that diverse nature where I wasn't expecting that she would be the one to get kicked off, and she was kind of feeling like, oh, me, I'm white. So that was really different. You know, I wouldn't have expected like that she was actually gonna go on. They were gonna tell me, oh yeah, it's your friend, she's black. You know, that was kind of different and how she took it.
And plus how the daughters took it, and like they had a reverse role, and like she was acting the white, and the other chick was acting the black.
Yeah, I think that we can agree that like for example, I am Mexican American, and I happen to go to private school, and I guess I have that privilege of going to this private school. But I definitely do see that it's mostly rich white people, and so like me and like the rest of the people of color, we're always on the magazines or on the little cards that they sent out. Like I remember my freshman year, we were just walking down the stairs and like, oh, picture. And like, oh, okay. And so I definitely do see that like that part of like the educational system, especially now I'm a senior, like applying to like colleges, and I definitely do see that there's like, oh, like even I feel that I'm like, hey, you know, I could probably get into this college just because yeah, I'm Latina. Hey, do you want me? And so I definitely do see that part that the educational system sort of favors, but not minority students. And
yeah, definitely. All these colleges are very like, oh, we want diversity. So I mean, they have the box, and there's so many scholarships they will give you just because you're Latino. And so I mean, it's kind of cool. I think because like you get to, because you're able to get all these benefits. But I think in the end, it does single you out. Like, oh, because you're this, you deserve this, or you need this because you come from a very poor background.
And plus recently applied to be ambassador for Government High School, and during the interview I had, she mentioned that since you're fluent in Spanish, you can influence Spanish speakers and Hispanic students to come to Mayo. I'm like, yeah, that could be a positive. I didn't even bring it up. She did for me, and she was a white teacher.
yeah, and so like it's just like, yeah, thank you for acknowledging my brownness, but like there's more than that about me. I can do other things, like not just be like the spokesperson for like the Hispanic community.
Question: do you get that kind of honor and separateness from older people of my generation? Do you also get that from your generation, students, kids of your age? Is it just mostly from the older people that you're getting that kind of recognition?
Like that kind of recognition?
Yeah. Do your peers care?
I think it's both ways.
Yeah.
I think like now race is seen as in like, you know, trying to prove that they're not racist, but in a way to us it's sort of like, we know what you're doing, and sort of like I know that I don't know, like I'll never like if my boyfriend would ever go like, oh yeah, I'm dating that like a Latina, my girlfriend's Latina, I'd be like, okay, but if he's like, but he's never like going all out on that concept that I am. I do see that like, older people, like in our neighborhood, they ask my mom for like salsa recipes. You know, why don't you ask about anything else? And so I think it's just both. It's both.
Like our peers who are trying to just be friends with a lot of times because like I want to be friends with someone who's different in terms of their race, but they just want to hang out with someone who's different race. And I think, but that's not going to happen for us as friends.
And I would have interactions with like some students that I barely talk to, but they come to me, hey, those are my favorite Mexican. I'm like, my God, how's your day? Yes.
I
I guess I have a question in that when I'm trying to say to one of my friends that I know this person, and they, oh, well, you know, what are they like? And well, you know, they live down the street and they've got a daughter who's very bright and hopefully going to college and stuff like that. I don't say, but they're Latino. That's the right way to be, right?
Yeah.
Don't describe your ethnicity. Did I say that word right? Yeah.
I just think that there's a lot of stereotypes where if you were to say that her daughter is Latina and she's pursuing to go to college, they'd be like very surprised because they're like, a Latina going to college? Like that's something that we don't do.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe if you take the title out, it's like, oh, she's probably white. Like there's that kind of thing where if you do not say that she's Latina, someone's going to college, they immediately think, oh, she's probably white. Whereas if you were just to say she's Latina, it'd be very surprising that she went to college because we're like blacks. We're kind of in the where we hardly go to college. Like, yeah.
Well, then to follow up with that, is that not then a positive to say, you know, she's Latino and she's going to college? That's a good thing. I mean, is that not furthering the understanding that that's not an odd thing?
I think there's also the way you also come about it.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh yeah, there's this girl, she's gonna go to college. Oh yeah, and she just happens to be like Latina. Like that would be like, oh, you know, like she's doing this amazing thing. And you know, the other cool thing about her is that she's this. But now it would just like, it would feel a little like dehumanizing if it was just like, oh yeah, she's this Latina kid who just got like this scholarship.
Yeah.
Got I don't know, I feel like it's just such a complex issue on how to go about it because it's like sometimes, well, I don't know, like sometimes I feel like it's like when people just play me as a token, but then just it's like actually just genuinely appreciating that, you know, I'm a brown girl and I'm succeeding. And so I think it just has to be in the type of way that, like the situation too. True. As well.
It seems to me that there's so much for those of us who have white privilege. So much for us to learn about, you know, if we're trying to not be white privileged, how can we do that?
Yeah, amen. That's what I was trying to say. How is
So
that?
that helps.
Wait, can you ask the question again?
I'm not sure it was a question, but how can we, who are trying but don't understand, you know, that it is so complex and we're so, you know, like Claire, thank you. You know, we're so oblivious, we don't want to be. But what advice can you give to us? How can we be more supportive and helpful?
So I think that definitely in the friendship of Claire and Alice, you know, at the end we saw that Alice just wanted to be she wanted Claire to like have confidence in her, to like believe in that she can, like as she said, like fight her own battles and not always have to say, oh, you should do this, you should do this, because she's a black woman and maybe she doesn't know what to do. But that's the thing though, what Claire was assuming is that as a black woman, she couldn't do it. And Alice was mostly saying, you know, forget about my blackness. Well, it wasn't saying forget about my blackness, it was mostly just saying, let me do it. And if you see that I'm struggling, it's not because I'm black, I'm just struggling. But also, like there's also,
What'd you say?
It's history. Like, you know, I think it's also what's happened before that you're still kind of in that mindset. That it's hard for us to think otherwise. So I think change is hard. And when change does happen, you kind of don't see it as that sometimes because it's not so big.
Isn't that interesting? I didn't see.
I'm curious, we've done a lot of talking in our talkbacks about the show about Claire and Alice's relationship, and I would really love to hear your all's thoughts on Valerie and Charlotte's relationship as the students, and how their the fact that their mothers never really talked about the racial dynamics in their relationship despite their deep friendship. How did you see that playing out in the daughters' relationships and experiences? Or what resonated for you about the girls' experiences?
Well, we see that the white friend who, I don't know, I always get the names mixed up. She was trying to, what?
So do we.
She was kind of like trying to be black, is what they were trying to say as. And I don't know, it was like weird that she was trying to be something she wasn't. Whereas usually maybe blacks trying to be more white to get fit in. But I think that was different.
I think also, we had a question about generation thing. I think this generation, well, I see it in like my school too. It's like people just love black music and black culture and like black artists and but they don't want to talk about black issues. And so I definitely do, with also like answering that generational question, like and I don't know if it has been going on for a long time, but definitely I see that they love my food, they love Mexican food, it's good,
They want
but
relationships.
but they don't want to talk about, okay, what about like what's going on with immigration or what's going on with the police brutality. And to get back to your question, I definitely am done discussions about like the relationship between Claire's daughter and Alice's daughter. I think that like, well, for one thing, like definitely if you're like moms are having like it's already gonna get intense. But I definitely do see that just with like, I don't know about you guys, but like if there's like with my like white friends, sometimes it does get a little intense because like I won like class president, and I definitely did see that like they thought that it was, oh, it's because she was Latina, and like people voted for her because they felt bad. And I think that's the same thing that happened to Barack Obama. Like they were like, oh, he was won because they needed a black president for once. And so so definitely I do see that this issue between just my generation, like teenagers in general, that race is definitely playing a big part. And like if a student of color gets recognition and succeeded, it's like they just think, oh, it's because she's Latina, it's because she's black. And it just sort of hurts because it's like, no, I actually tried hard for this. Like you
earned it.
Yeah, you're like erasing my struggle. like yes, my brownness, maybe it did help me, but also like it did, like my brownness also like held me like down, and I had to overcome it. But just because I overcame all these barriers, like I won it, and like don't be jealous. So.
Okay, I have a question. But Claire, to me, I guess I'm still lost as how come she was wrong in her just not seeing the differential in color. Why was it she just loved her friend, she loved Alice? What was wrong about that? And I saw it at the end of the play that it was sort of wrong. And I don't understand that wrongness.
Well, by not seeing, by saying she doesn't see it, she's denying a huge part of what Alice has experienced. And that Alice's experiences as a black woman are not the same as Claire's experiences as a white woman. And as white people, we can say I don't see color because we can. And like she says, she can't not see color. She, that's not true. Like, do we really look at Alice and not, does Claire really look at her and not see that she's black? Like, that's crazy. She is black. She looks at her every day, and there are differences. Alice's experiences are different. And Claire has advantages because she's white.
Yeah.
And by not seeing that, she's dismissing that whole part of who Alice is and that dynamic that's in their relationship.
So how would she show that she was seeing that without pointing out her blackness?
Well, Alice knows she's black, so by pointing out her blackness, she's not telling her something she doesn't already know.
Okay, so if I say if I'm saying, well, I have a friend that's a black lady, or this is my black friend, I'm not supposed to say that. I'm
Well,
not
it's not
supposed
so
to
much, I
point
think,
out.
about describing your friend as much as it is recognizing that there are differences between you and they're real.
Yeah.
And being open to talking about that, even if it makes you uncomfortable.
Okay.
In the talkback we had last night, we had a conversation about, we had a group of people that was racially diverse, and we talked about the fact that you don't talk about race in mixed company. And that's, I'm pointing to Ebony because she's Alice, but you know, that's Alice, and that's their thing. They're mixed companies, they don't talk about it. And because it makes us uncomfortable, and it's hard, and it's complicated. And we're afraid we're gonna mess it up. So we end up spending our entire years, I mean like the lifetime of our children, years, going through life and death matters together, not bringing it up. Because it's uncomfortable for the white person.
How would you bring it up?
Well, that's a great question. Erin, do you have a thought of that? I see you raising your hand over there, so jump in.
I have a question for you all. It might take me a second to put this together in the right way, but
You have a thought about that.
someone who grew up and went to school in the 70s and 80s, my experience in that period of time, from my perspective as a kid at that time and a teenager at that time, was that we kids at that time were supposed to learn about all complicated issues, race being one of them, from people older than us. That was just like how I thought things were. And as now I am a parent of teenagers, I look to, and as they grew up, I have looked to them for a lot of things. And just the fact that you all are sitting up here answering questions makes me happy. But when I was a child and a teenager, I didn't think that adults asking me questions was something that they would actually listen to the answers to. So I guess my question is, do you feel like people look to younger people for answers on issues like this? Because I feel like it's flipped a lot. Like I feel like something, I can't explain when it happened or if it was gradual, but I feel like eventually, maybe this happens with every generation, but eventually at some point I realized that, you know, maybe as kids and teenagers we shouldn't have expected for our parents to be the ones, or adults in our world to be the ones to understand things and then just tell them to us, explain them to us. But adding to that the fact that times have changed and attitudes about all of it have changed, how does it feel to be a young person now and have so many older people looking to you for some of those perspectives?
I definitely do think that it's a lot of pressure, for sure. But I think that we also have different ways, different perspectives. Again, times have changed. But also I think, like, for example, what happened recently, I think it was on, like, this week, where this 14-year-old kid got, like, beat up by, like, 3 police officers, right? And, you know, we see all the time, like, on the news and, like, on our social media, because social media does play a big part on us and how we see everything. And so just seeing people our age, people who look like us getting beat and stuff like that, it's like traumatizing and it's scary because we're like, that could be us, and we want to know, like, also what are our rights as a minor, if in case, like, the police, like, or especially, like, for like my black friends, like, I really worry about them when they're going home and stuff. And so but I do like that, adults are looking towards us and asking us, like, how do you feel about it? Because we feel like we can finally say, like, you know, this is how we're feeling, and can you help us out, you know? And that's, and yeah, it is a lot of pressure when they ask us to talk about race, but I like that they're asking.
Do you feel like do you all feel like you're being heard when you do voice your opinions about it, your perspective?
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I don't know what I'm saying right now. Like, I don't know what I do. But, you know, I do hope that adults take into consideration just what we're doing, like what we're thinking, and don't just see us as like some teenagers who are just complaining and stuff, you know. So yeah, I hope so.
And as Latinos, I feel like it is the younger community that's talking about the problems that are happening, rather than our parents, who a lot of times don't know English. And we're kind of the ones stepping up for them, for like legal immigration and all these things, because we feel like, as educated people, we feel like this is our country, and that we need to speak up.
Definitely, and also because I think like us, especially as Latinos, as she said, since a very young age, we feel like, I don't know about you, but I've always had to translate to my parents, like whatever's going on. And so finally, like having this position like right now, where I can actually like talk about something that's very important to me, I really do hope that like it's getting a small message out. So.
We need to wrap up because we have to clean all this up and turn this back into a gallery. But to quickly say something to you, Beth, referring to your question, one of our other community partners is Louisville Showing Up for Racial Justice, and they do a lot of great work helping white people talk about race and think about race, and they have several new member meetings a year, a quarter, and so I would encourage you all, or anyone that's interested in understanding more as a white person what you can do, looking up and becoming involved in Louisville Showing Up for Racial Justice. It's an organization of white people trying to understand all of this.
Okay.
And recognizing that white people are the ones that make this problem, and so it's our problem to fix. So I would encourage anyone to, there's actually information from out on the table that they've left here. They've facilitated several talkbacks over the run of the show. Peggy, you get the final word.
I want it off the back.
Then Andrea gets the second
Okay,
final
you
word.
can have the final word, but I want to thank you for sharing with us and doing it so well. I appreciate it. You said you didn't know what you were saying, but you said it very well. So, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
So we just wanted to let you guys know, again, we're from Adelante, Hispanic Acheivers. Adelante, I've been in the program since I was in 6th grade, and it has definitely helped me out, and I see that it has definitely helped out the Hispanic community. If you guys want to learn more about it, adelante.org, right, Hannah? Right?
Adelante KY.
AdelanteKY.org. Yeah, and just check this out. You'll
Google it.
You know, Google it. Just put Adelante. Yeah,
You'll find it.
And that word is in the program.
Yes.
I wouldn't be able to spell
And the collection for Puerto Rico didn't reach that side of the audience, so
If you put in
ask
Hispanic
it here.
Achievers,